Hey guys, Untitled here with another episode of Star Wars Starship Versus, the series where I take two spaceships from the Star Wars universe, put them head to head in a one-on-one space battle, and try to predict which one would come out on top. Today we are looking at two ships from the Old Republic era, the Valor class cruiser and the Harrower class Dreadnought. Interestingly, these ships would have directly fought against each other in several wars, so this battle is a little less speculative than normal. I think it's a very interesting matchup though, and I want to thank ML for suggesting this multiple times on several videos. If you want to have your suggestion made into a video, make sure that you get here early and leave a comment with your matchup. As a hint, those who are here first usually get the most upvoted comments, so make sure that you subscribe and have your notifications turned on. Before we continue, I just want to talk about one thing. Many people have told me that they really like my videos, but that my audio quality is just okay at best. Well, that's actually because I record off a Samsung S7 phone and then try to get as much audio quality out of it as I can. Obviously, I'm a little limited. Unfortunately, this channel is a hobby rather than a job, so I don't really have a means to upgrade my hardware. It's just too expensive and I can't really justify the purchase where I've just bought a new house. So at the suggestion of a couple of people, I started a GoFundMe account, and I'll be raising money there to upgrade my hardware. Now, this is purely a luxury item, and I don't expect any of you to feel like you have to donate. Only do so if you have some extra money and you'd like to see the content on the channel improve and perhaps be a bit more varied in the future. If you do want to donate, you can go to gofundme.com/@cardsladder and I'll put a link down in the description. I'm currently working on some reward ideas for those who do donate, but you can let me know down in the comments what you think would be good. Anyway, back to the action. As I said, we're taking the Harrower class Dreadnought today and putting it in a one-on-one battle against the Valor class cruiser. And we're going to be examining them in three areas: offensive capabilities, defensive capabilities, and then fighter support. But we're looking at which ship is better overall, so we're also going to be considering intangibles, and it's not who wins the most categories, but really which ship is better. I only really have a couple of other rules, and the first is that we're focusing on the ships themselves, not the people that crewed them. So although the Harrower and the Valor are both Sith and Jedi ships respectively, they're not going to factor into this battle. Second, this is a one-on-one battle, and we're looking at the standard version of each one of these ships. No special modifications, no extras, no backup, nothing. With that being said, let's move right into firepower, and as I mentioned earlier, these ships were meant to directly combat each other, and I've heard some people argue that they have equal amounts of firepower. I don't think this is the case. Let's look first at the Harrower. It's the larger of the two ships by almost 300 meters, and when you look at it, you can tell that it's fairly well armed. First of all, you can see that each one of the ship's wings has 4 quad turbo laser turrets. These are very powerful anti-ship weapons. And although you can't actually see it, the bottom of these wings also have 4 matching turrets. Some versions of the Harrower would actually double up the amount of turrets on the wings, but we're just going to go with the single line of 4. However, much more notable than that, I think, is the amount of turbo laser batteries near the bridge of the ship. I can count at least 20 batteries there. That's a tremendous amount of firepower that can be brought to bear very quickly. And I can't tell exactly how many guns each one of these batteries have, but they're definitely exceptionally powerful. At 500 meters long, the Valor is, as I mentioned, much shorter than the Harrower. It's also, as you can tell by looking at it, not as well armed. The ship lacks the very powerful and very dense turbo laser batteries of the Harrower, instead going for quad and regular turbo laser turrets. I think it's also pretty clear that even what it does have is less numerous and more sparse than the Harrower. I think the shape of the Valor also really takes away from its offensive potential. The Harrower goes with a wedge shape, one that would still be in use thousands of years later. This allows it, at least much of the time, to put most of its firepower on a target, regardless of its placement. On the other hand, the design of the Valor limits its potential firepower, and most of the weapons will have at least part of their firing angle blocked by the superstructure of the ship. So I guess what I'm saying is that I reject wholly the idea that the Valor and the Harrower are equal in firepower. And I think that I would even say that without its quad laser cannons, just the turbo laser batteries alone of the Harrower put it in a league above the Valor. And when you add what amounts to probably at least 30 quad laser cannons, this matchup, at least in offensive capabilities, becomes a stomp. Unsurprisingly to me, the much larger and more conventionally designed Harrower class Dreadnought takes this category. Alright, so let's now look at defensive capabilities, and although it was the Old Republic, both of these ships would have had some sort of rudimentary shielding and a pretty strong hull. However, while we do know that the Harrower favored a stronger, thicker hull, the Valor went for thin hull in some places, focusing on speed instead of durability. Defensive capabilities will thus go to the Harrower. I will talk about a couple more things though. Both of these ships have very different target profiles. The Valor, of course, is very tall, while the Harrower is thin but wide. In a straight one-on-one battle, a Valor is going to have to rely on a broadside attack, due primarily to the placement of its cannons. That, I believe, gives the Harrower even further of an edge. With the Valor, we can also see that much of the ship is exposed, including the bridge at the very top. We know that the Valor skimped in armor at certain places, and given how much of the ship is just out there, I think this is a pretty dangerous combination. Alright, so next we have fighter support. The Harrower had 95 Mark VI Supremacy class starfighters, along with 32 bombers. The Valor, on the other hand, had 110 Liberator class starfighters and 40 bombers. Like the modern day Empire, the Sith Empire relied on swarm tactics with its Supremacy class starfighter, and really, that ship would only come out on top if it had a large numerical advantage. The ships were very lightly shielded, didn't have strong armor, and weren't super well armed. On the other hand, the Liberator class starfighter is kind of akin to the modern day X-Wing, and I do believe that a Liberator is equal to more than one Mark VI Supremacy starfighter. So really the Sith Empire is in trouble here because not only are their ships worse, but they have fewer of them. The Republic also has more bombers, and their starfighters carry concussion missiles, which can be used against capital ships, so this category very easily goes to the Valor. Finally, we have Intangibles, and the only thing I really want to mention here is again the speed of the Valor when compared to the Harrower. I'm not sure exactly how fast the Republic ship is, but based on its small size and its very large engines when compared to the rest of the ship, we can presume that it's much faster than the Sith ship. Alright, so let's now look at the actual matchup, and we've got a very well armed, very heavy ship in the Harrower going against a much smaller, more nimble ship in the Valor. This is a very common scenario in Star Wars who would win, and the question is this: does the Harrower have enough weapons to effectively neutralize the speed advantage of the Valor? On yesterday's battle, for example, I found that the Resurgent class Star Destroyer was so fast that it could get into a dangerous position where the Praetor II could not harm it. And a lot of that was because the Praetor II just did not have the weaponry to take down the Resurgent before it got into that tactically advantageous position. Also, the Resurgent was arguably better armed even than the Praetor II, despite its smaller size. The same can't be said about this battle. The Harrower is exceptionally well armed. Look at the middle of the ship and just the sheer amount of turbo laser batteries that are present. In my mind, it outguns the Valor by at least a ratio of 2, perhaps 3 to 1. And the Valor is just such a large target. I can see the guns of the Harrower just pounding away at it as it struggles to get out of range. But we know that the Harrower's wedge-shaped design and its efficient turret placement will make that very difficult. Also, the Valor will have to rely on broadside attacks, so its already scant weapons will only be at half effectiveness when fighting one ship. The best chance the Valor has in this scenario is to get all of its fighters out and all of its bombers out as quickly as possible. It should be able to get a good percentage out before being crippled or destroyed because the ship is lined with hangars on both sides, and once they are out, they should be able to dominate the skies and take the battle to the Sith Star Destroyer. However, I think their destruction is inevitable, and their only real outlook is to perhaps destroy or disable the Harrower while also going down themselves. Although turbo lasers aren't the best for taking on enemy starfighters, the quad laser cannon should help, and at the end of the day, the weaponry of the Harrower is just too much for the Valor. So I give this battle to the Sith ship, and I predict that it wins 8.5 times out of 10. The only chance that the Valor has is if it can get all of its starfighters out, neutralize the enemy starfighters, and get its bombers in to cripple the ship before it can bring its guns to bear. I don't think that's likely though. I think an even more likely scenario than that is that the home ship is destroyed and then perhaps the Harrower is disabled or destroyed itself, but I think it's just got too many guns for that to happen. But I would love to hear what you think. Make sure you let me know down in the comments whether you think I was right, whether I missed something, whether I perhaps didn't give enough credit to the Valor, or anything else. Also, take a second right now to vote in the upper right hand corner and let me know who you think would have won. Also, of course, let me know which matchup you'd like to see down in the comments. And if you see a matchup that you like, make sure to give a supporting comment underneath and give it a thumbs up. Also, if you want to get further involved in the community, make sure to join our Discord, which just yesterday reached over 100 people, and follow me on Twitter. Thank you for watching, guys. As always, may the Force be with you.